In today's video, we will witness the development of the detained Zuleyha situation, and we will find out what will happen to Mujgan after his drastic action.
Before starting, however, leave a nice like on Trust, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss all the next videos. Finally, leave a comment to share your emotions.
Meanwhile, Behis returns home to Mujgan to retrieve some forgotten items, but can't find her. She decides to enter her room, where she discovers and reads the letter that Mujgan had written to Yilmaz. Worried, she rushes to the bathroom and finds Mujgan motionless, poured into the tub with bleeding wrists. Immediately, Behis stops the bleeding wounds and prepares to call for help, making sure that the necessary medical assistance is provided, so the girl is transported to the hospital. In court, however, the judge informs their respective lawyers that there will be harsh measures for Yilmaz and Demir for handling weapons in a courtroom. In fact, both were locked up in two separate security cells. On the other hand, Mujgan is immediately taken to the hospital and rescued by doctors, as well as her colleagues, who take her without wasting time in the operating room to receive due care. Meanwhile, Behis instructs the two men who accompanied her to look for Yilmaz and Fekali. Hunker and Fekali, anxious about the fate of their children, stand outside the courtroom. Aware of the possible consequences, Zuleyha promises them to intervene by speaking personally with the judge to try to help them in the situation. Then, when asked about Zuleyha's fate, Zuleyha replies with concern and regret that Demir's statement had a devastating effect on the woman's situation, further aggravating her already precarious position. After the hearing, Zuleyha returns to her cell with a heart full of sadness. However, she tries to distract herself from thoughts of her by helping Mustafa, a boy who lives in a cell with his mother in prison, with his homework. Zuleyha opens to Mustafa's mother, revealing her deep pain at being separated from her children and unaware of their lives and conditions. Zuleyha, meanwhile, returns to her office with Sabahattin, expressing her deep regret at Zuleyha's plight and her uncertainty about her release from prison. The prosecutor, during the confrontation with the judge, had supported the idea of provocation as a triggering factor. However, Demir had stated that her action had been intentional, firing voluntarily. In this case, the law is very clear and Zuleyha realizes that she won't be able to do anything to help Zuleyha in that situation. Meanwhile, while Zuleyha is uncovering her story and expressing her determination to fight to regain her honor and dignity as well as win back her children, she is called for an interview. Waiting for her is Sabahattin, who reassures her of Zuleyha's determination to do everything possible to secure her release. Also, Sabahattin informs Zuleyha that both Yilmaz and Demir will be in jail for a few days due to their actions. Zuleyha confides in Sabahattin, but she knows that Demir will do everything to make her stay in prison to suffer, because he has a deep hatred towards her. However, Zuleyha promises to stay strong and carry on for the sake of her children. Her only fear is that, because of her, Demir may begin to pour hatred towards Adnan, her beloved son. Therefore, she requests Sabahattin to do everything possible to avoid Adnan being treated badly or worse, sent away. In this situation, Zuleyha realizes that the time has come to reveal to Yilmaz that Adnan is her son. Hunker and Fekali are deeply shocked by what has happened, and the matriarch confides to Fekali that she had a conversation with Demir, trying to convince him not to harm Zuleyha. At the time, she believed she had succeeded because she knows how much Demir loves her children and she doesn't want to see them suffer. Now Hunker reflects on Demir's behavior, thinking that he got carried away by anger when he saw Yilmaz present at the trial. Hunker and Fekali are enveloped in a state of sadness and helpless awareness, offering only their prayers for help. When Sabahattin then returns to the hospital, he is informed that Mujgan has been hospitalized following an attempt to self-harm her wrists. So the doctor hastens to enter the room where Mujgan still lies unconscious. There, he finds Behis at her side, silently watching over her niece. Eyes filled with concern, Bihais reveals the devastating news: Mujgan has attempted suicide due to Yilmaz's decision to divorce her. Sabahattin immediately reassured Bihais, explaining that Mujgan fortunately did not cut the artery and that she will recover in a couple of days. Despite the suffering Mujgan went through, Bihais reveals that Yilmaz seems to focus only on Zuleyha. In fact, he even went to Zuleyha's trial and is unaware of what happened to Mujgan. Sabahattin, resentful of Bihais' words, counters by saying that if he had known of Mujgan's situation, he would have been present at Mujgan's side, and claims that Bihais is judging him unfairly, regardless of the fact that he is currently in prison and his actions they are limited. Bihais, in response, comments that Yilmaz still seems to be in trouble because of Zuleyha, and raises the point that Mujgan is paying the price for Zuleyha's actions. He finally asks Sabahattin to do everything possible to get Yilmaz to change his mind about the divorce, as Mujgan is dealing with the consequences of something she did not cause herself. However, Sabahattin replies by explaining that Zuleyha is in prison because of the video that Mujgan filmed and sent to Demir. However, Bihais retorts that she is not interested in Zuleyha at all, and underlines the fact that Mujgan risked losing his life. Sabahattin replies in turn, stating that Zuleyha's life has been ruined due to Mujgan's actions. Bihais then responds by saying that Zuleyha should have kept control of her and shouldn't have shot her husband. Sabahattin points out to her, however, that while everything will be over for Mujgan in 2 days, she will be able to resume her life together with her son. For Zuleyha instead, there is no hope of being freed, and asks Bihais to make it clear to the granddaughter. As soon as Fekali learns about Mujgan's situation through Nasi, he rushes to the hospital, and while talking with Bihais, Mujgan wakes up and, in a feeble voice, asks his aunt why he saved her, expressing the desire not to want to live without her husband. However, Fekali steps in to support her and hugs her lovingly, promising that she will do everything possible so that she can get back together with Yilmaz, and that they can raise their child together. Once Mujgan returns home, her aunt surrounds her with attentions and with her affection, revealing that Yilmaz has remained constantly by her side, never abandoning her, while she was in the hospital. Subsequently, Bihais, hearing Nasi and Emin talking and complaining about her, decides to warn them and threatens to make her lose her job. Later, Bihais expresses her frustration to Fekali about Yilmaz and Zuleyha, blaming them for what happened to her nephew. Fekali responds to Bihais by pointing out that the mistake made by Mujgan has an impact on the whole family and that Yilmaz has a duty to try to rectify the situation as she is attempting to do. While arguing, Nasi and Emin go to Fekali asking him if they have made any mistakes or if he wants to take action against them. Fekali, surprised by the question, asks the reason for such concerns. Bihais replies in their place, a little annoyed but trying to keep a forced smile, explaining that her abrupt behavior was due to the anxiety caused by the Mujgan situation. Fekali intervenes and asks both women to accept the apologies and return to calm, urging them to settle the matter peacefully. Then Fekali points out to Bihais, even when she gets a little nervous, "You should never hurt other people." In another context, Hatip joins Gaffer at the estate while the latter is busy working. After a long and complicated speech, Hatip finally comes to the point and asks him to return the receipts that he had issued in exchange for the payments made for the money that he had lent him. Gaffer, in response, claims that he does not have the receipts and then accuses Hatip of getting him drunk, robbing and running up debts with him. These words unleash the wrath of Hatip, who suddenly grabs Gaffer by the neck and slams him against the wall, squeezing him and ordering him to stop teasing him. Suddenly, however, and fortunately, Hatip is blocked by a shotgun fired by Sanai. At that moment, Hatip turns to Sanai and asks her to return the receipts. Meanwhile, other people including workers, Gulten and Hunker rush to the place to see what is happening. Sanai then decides to tell Hunker how Hatip tricked Gaffer. Despite the accusations, Hatip denies everything and tries to convince Hunker of his innocence. But just then, Nasi steps in and accuses Hatip of theft. Hadip continues to deny, asking how his wife could accuse him like that. Nacy, however, replies that she does it because she considers him a scammer and she dismisses him, confirming her accusations. Hadip leaves by threatening her. While Nacy is in the living room with Hunker and San, both women express their gratitude to her for standing up for Gaffer and standing up to her husband, showing great courage of hers. Chetan, on the other hand, is with Gulten and reveals that her mother is enthusiastic about their relationship. Gulten apologizes again that their engagement has not yet taken place, but Chetan knows that it is not her fault. However, he expresses the desire to marry her immediately, without too many frills, but at the same time confesses that it would be wonderful to see her wearing a beautiful wedding dress and keep precious photos to share with their future children. Gulten thinks they have to wait a bit, because they can't afford to be happy while everyone else is suffering. Chetan responds by arguing that they are lucky to love each other, and that they will be patient until they can celebrate a grand wedding, which will make them completely happy. Later, and once alone, Nacy confesses to Hunker that she could not allow San to pay a debt due to Hadip and Gaffer, considering them fools. She also talks about Zuleyha and how she is suffering from Demir. Hunker responds with compassion, and says that Demir loved Zuleyha very much, and assures that they are making every effort to free the woman from prison and bring her back with her children. Then the matriarch confesses that she always prays that her children grow up as honest people, unlike their father. Hunker admits that he did not educate Demir in the right way, but Nacy confidently replies that Demir, though angry at the moment, will soon understand the truth and will do whatever he can to bring his wife back home. Finally, Nacy encourages Hunker not to lose hope, as there is always a chance for a reconciliation and happiness to be found again.
This video has also come to an end. If you like it, like and leave a comment. Let us know what you think of these events. Subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to not miss new videos.